Welcome to the Hedgehog Man Recovery Podcast, Giving It Away. I'm Eric the Monk, but for the purposes of tonight, I am Eric the Addict. And it's a privilege and an honour to let Craig himself, whose channel it is, to tell his own story tonight. I came round with Craig, first met him just after the Christmas time, in the rooms, having just came out of a recovery centre and just come around and had the privilege to have known him ever since and watch him through his recovery. So without further ado, I'm just going to sit back because I know this kid can talk a glass eye to sleep. And I'll hand over to you, Craig.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's Eric the Monk and Craig the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I was nervous about doing this, but the second I've sat down and started talking to you, I feel all those nerves have gone. So thank you for giving up your time to come here to film this. I really appreciate it, mate.
That's not a problem.
Right, so my name's Craig. I'm an addict. I started life in January 1980. I was adopted. When I was 6 weeks old, I was legally the son of who I call my mum and dad. They're my parents. They're the people that have brought me up. I've always grown up knowing that. I can't remember first ever being told. So when I tell somebody I'm adopted, they tend to be more interested in the subject than I am, if that makes any sense.
It does, yeah.
Because I know no different. And sometimes people will say, you're real mum and dad, but what they mean is my biological parents, the people that brought me up are my real mum and dad. They're giving me a life, fantastic life. And I'm very grateful for that. And so I went to school, St. Bernadette's in Wallsend in High Farm Primary School. I was a right little shit. As I now is definitely linked to me, which was at the time undiagnosed ADHD. But back then, I wasn't. I didn't start fights or anything. I didn't bully anybody. I was just a cheeky little twat, to be honest with you. And I got expelled from primary school when I was 8 years old for the first time. School. It's not bad, that is it?
Pretty good ever.
And then from there I went to Holy Cross Primary School to do the rest of primary school. And very quickly through misbehaving, I wasn't allowed on the premises during lunchtime. So my mum and dad both worked. So my granddad would have to come and pick me up, take me somewhere for my lunch, normally take us back to his, and then back to school within the hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a bus ride each way, so it was a bit of a fuck on for them. Well, that was just to get me through school. You know what I mean? Went to big school, as they say, high school, St. Thomas More. History just repeated itself again. I was just a fucking little shit. Got expelled at the start of year 10 there. No other school would take us for the rest of year 10, so I did a year meant to be being homeschooled, but my parents, they both work full time. They would give us homework and stuff like that. There was no internet in those days. So I kind of missed a year of school, and then I went and did my final year Monks Eaton Community High. Well, I think I was I was a bit better behaved there, but I wasn't there very long because in your last year, you have, is it study leave and stuff like that before the start of the GCSEs. So I failed all my GCSEs. I mean, I did GCSE exams in subjects that I hadn't originally taken in options. They were just fitting us in whatever class they could.
Yeah.
So I was just some of the subjects I'd only done the last year, which is really just your revising for your exams. But that being said, that's not the reason I failed. I failed because I wasn't paying attention, because my head's going thinking about music, you know what I mean, and wanting to be a rock star when I'm older, and I won't need school. I mean, as it turned out, I didn't need school, but at the same time, I wish I did. I wish I was more knowledgeable on some subjects. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have picked up basic things at school. To this day, I can't say the alphabet from start to finish. And I put that down to when it was being taught to the class in primary school, I was probably in the corridor that day. You know what I mean? I mean, I can write and read and stuff, but my alphabet's got about 23 letters in it when I try and recite it from A to Z. So from school, I went straight to an air conditioning apprenticeship because my parents told us that I needed a trade. And I was thinking, fucking trade. Now, thinking back now, that's fucking ridiculous, me trying to do a trade. Because looking back now, I was never going to go and work fucking Monday to Friday for the rest of my life as an engineer. It's just, now that's, and saying that out loud, I've realised how fucking funny that is. The concept of me doing that.
Yeah.
That's not me. So I did that for 2 years. Whilst I was doing that, I was heavily involved in the rave scene when I was 16-year-old, when I was still in high school. I went to Judgment Day for the first time, which was a rave at Northumbria Uni. It was on at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday once a month. But it would start dead early. So it started like 4:30 or 5 p.m. and go through to 1 because they couldn't get the license to do the all-nighter, so they would start it earlier and it would finish early. But it was your stereotypical rave. They didn't sell alcohol in there. It was all, bottles of water for £3 or whatever, which was a lot of money in 1996. And going to my first one, first time I ever took what I would class as a drug. I tried weed before that, but my experience with weed was when I was about 14. I was walking around Battle Hill with my pals. One of them gave us what was basically the fucking very end of a joint. I had 2 off it, and I spent the next 4 or 5 hours throwing up. So I was like, weed isn't for me. And it's a drug I've never gone back really to. I've had it, tried it again once more in later life and was sick again. I was just like, doesn't interest us. It doesn't make me feel good. No problems with that ever. On the bus on the way to town to go to this Judgment Day, but me and my mate, I won't say his name, went halves on a 5-hour rapper speed.
Mm-hmm.
So we've opened up this little wrap. And I mean, this is proper naughty, this, because I've never even really seen proper drugs before. We've opened this little wrap of powder up on the bus. We've got a coin and we'll put it into 2 halves, and he's put half in his drink and I put half in my drink, and that was it. Best night of my fucking life. To this day, one of the best nights of my life. Definitely. Really, 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 fucking buzzing, shaking everybody's hand. Hi, where's your name? What you from? What you had? All the rave crack and that, all the fucking tunes I'd been listening to on tapes for years. By all the DJs I worshipped at the time, do you know what I mean? Brilliant. And then reality hit when I got outside. Forgetting that. Because there's no buses at this time of night on a Saturday in the 90s. So my dad and my uncle are stood outside this rave to pick us up, and I've come out fucking chewing my face off. So got home, sat and just looked at me curtains all night waiting for the speed to wear off. It didn't wear off. It felt like it didn't wear off. It like I must have came down from it at some point, but I'd stayed up all night, and then I just ended up staying up on the Saturday and doing what I would normally do on the Saturday during the day and going to bed on Saturday night. Got up on Sunday morning, fine. I was like, there's no fucking downside to this drug. Right?
The first thing.
That continued. Once a month, Judgment Day was. I'd spend my whole fucking month looking forward to this night. You know what I mean? And it was, didn't particularly need a lot of money to do it. It was £12 for a ticket. Fucking £2.50 to go halves for a 5-hour up a speed.
It was at the time, yeah.
And you know what I mean? I was like, this is fucking amazing. I remember thinking, why doesn't everyone go to these raves? Do you know what I mean? Ended up wanting to be a DJ, wanting to be an MC and perform at these raves. So during me doing me air conditioning apprenticeship, started trying to put nights on. Now I'm only 17, but somehow the High Pit in Cramlington, I used to put nights on there. I know. The High Pit in Cramlington, I used to put nights on there every couple of months. A night called Raw, and I put a foam party on there, and I would book all the DJs. I was 17, I wasn't even old enough to be in there. And I don't know if they realised that or not. They probably didn't. They probably just presumed I was 18. But I mean, at 17, I looked about 14, so I couldn't grow a beard or anything back in those days, which is all anybody wanted in those days was a beard so they could get served at the shop, innit? Or a tash at least. So I'm plodding along, started making these rave tapes in my bedroom with my mates, started producing them, making copies of them, taking them to shops, like there was Rhythm Records in Wallsend, Concepts in Durham, Bass Generator in the town, stuff like that, and selling these tapes. So I would give the shop 10 tapes, they'd put them out on the shelf for £7 each, go back in a month's time, anything they've sold, they'll give me £4 for, keep £3 for themselves, no risk for them. So I was doing that, and before long, I was making more money off those tapes than I was in my apprenticeship. And then I'm starting to make more money a month from tapes than the person teaching me the apprenticeship. And I'm 17, and I'm like, this, but even still, then I'm still like, no, I'll do this apprenticeship. Do you know what I mean? Never considered leaving it or anything. I just thought that this is a little bit extra money I'm making now to make the most of it when it lasted. So I've ended up emceeing at the After Dark for free. Didn't get paid for it. Used to go there every single Friday night. Was it the Friday or the Saturday we used to go to the After Dark? I used to finish work. We'd go to Icon in town, full of pills on a Friday, stay up all night. Saturday night, I'd take speed all night, go to the After Dark, MC there. I couldn't MC on pills, so I would use the speed to MC on. Yeah. Sunday night, come home, go to sleep, get up Monday morning, go to work, fucking fresh as a daisy, no problem. And that was it for a long time, was work during the week, like music and drugs of a weekend, and repeat. And it never, ever, ever, during that time period, it never creeped into midweek. It was just a weekend thing, but I would spend... But thinking about it, though, it was in my head 7 days a week, because from Monday morning, I'd be dying for it to be Friday night again. They say people live for the weekend. That's exactly what I was doing. And then I lost my apprenticeship. In the start of the third year, the guy in charge of the company said, "Your heart's not in this." I was thinking, no shit, Sherlock. He said, "You want to be the next Chris Evans?" I was thinking, I don't want to be anything like that ginger twat. But I knew what he meant, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't know anything about DJing or MCing or the music industry or anything like that. Neither did I at that point. So, 19-year-old, I lost the apprenticeship. Started working at call centres. Same thing. Monday to Friday, fucking working. Friday night, Saturday night, out. Be out all weekend. And then, during that point, I stopped emceeing at the After Dark. The After Dark closed down. So then on the Saturday night, I would start going places like Rock Shots and, other clubs in town, Shindig and stuff like that.
Yeah, been to both of them, yeah.
And that's where, in one of those parties, somebody was like, "Yeah, do you want a line of this?" It's like, "Oh, what's that like?" "Oh, it's coke." Ooh, I've heard fucking nasty things about that. You know what I mean? I was quite naive, really, as a young'un, because I thought if you have a line of coke, you'd be fucking dead. Do you know what I mean?
But give us a go.
But I'll have a little one.
Fucking insanity.
So then the cocaine started to come into play. So I moved out me parents' house. What I didn't mention is when I was 16 in Monks Eaton High, I met a girl. Me and her got together and worked together for 16 years. From that point, 16, 17 years. So me and this lass, I'll not say her name, pardon me, have moved in together in a flat in Howden. And by this point, because of the money I'm making off these tapes and CDs in the shops I'm selling, because once CD burners came out, I bought a CD burner as well, and then it wasn't just tapes, it was tapes and CDs. Yeah. The CDs were even better because the CDs would sell for $10 and I'd get $6.50 a unit instead of £4 for a tape. Yeah. And they were a lot quicker to reproduce as well, because I was doing all the reproduction myself. I was sitting with like 2 double tape decks, actually copying them myself, printing the covers out, cutting them out with scissors and making the units. I was a one-man, tiny little record label.
Sounds a little bit like Catch Me If You Can.
Well, we'll get the bit where the chord is.
I've heard it.
So doing this, I bought this absolutely piece by piece, I bought this state-of-the-art recording studio. But Craig can't fucking use it, can he? You know what I mean? It's like, I had this rack, and if there's any producers watching, they'll know what I'm talking about, that stood about 4 foot off the floor, full of MIDI hardware. Every single piece is like $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, right? But Craig can't use it. There's no YouTube at this point. There's no YouTube tutorials for anything. YouTube didn't come out till 2005, and this is 2020. So I'm sitting there with 30 grand's worth of hardware, in me flat. And my mate randomly says, hey, you should do an insurance job on that. And I went, oh, that's a good idea. Right? So the next thing I know, I've got the insurance company, rang up an insurance company, the cooperative, I think it was. Or was it CIS insurance? I can't remember now. I think it was CIS insurance, actually. Came round, did an evaluation of everything. It's not like it is now where you just sign, you get house insurance online like that.
Yeah.
You just fill out a form and it's done. But they sent somebody out to the house, little guy in a suit, must have been like a sales rep, took a policy out. Lo and behold, 2 months later, I was burgled, Eric.
Strange.
Which, what I basically done is I just took all this stuff out the back door, into my neighbour's back door, and stored all the stuff in his. He was I'll cut this out. But I'll tell the story for you. He was a double glazing engineer, so he knew how to take the pane of the glass out of the window from the outside. Remember when he used to be able to do that? So he's just took the downstairs window out the bedroom of the flat, placed it on the ground next to it with gloves on, and then I've rang the police and said I've been burgled.
Well, keep that bit in. You don't need to mention his name.
No, I won't. You'd be watching this thinking, you little twat. And by this point, it's 2001. I remember this time period in my life vividly because a few days after the Twin Towers hit in September, the insurance company finally gave me 2 checks, one for 22.5 grand, one for 5.5 grand. Now, I've had money before, but I've never had more than 2 or 3 grand at once because I couldn't save. I would just spend it. That's why I was buying the studio equipment and that with. Live quite a lavish lifestyle for me age. And then I said to somebody, there's a girl I know called Shelley, and she said this to me once. She said, I can remember, right? You were at a party at my house, and people were talking about like what their plans were, and I had said, oh, I'm going to do an insurance job and become the biggest cokehead on the planet. And that's exactly what I did. That is exactly what I did. That money was gone in 6 months. Plus and I was still doing the things I was doing to make money then. So there was still money coming in, but that was going as well. Then start of the next year, February, the start of the next year. So one of my mates got a bit pissed off what's going on because I'm spending all this money. And just, I think, a bit of jealousy, really, it must have been. And the police knocked on my door, the neighbour's door, my parents' door, my girlfriend's parents' door, and raided all the houses at the same time looking for this equipment that had gone missing in the insurance job. They found some of it. I got charged with what they found. Most of it had been sold on.
Yeah.
I got charged with what they found. And then the February the next year, I got sentenced to 6 months in prison for it. Now, at this point in my life, I don't even know anybody that's been to prison.
Yeah. And how old again were you at this time?
22.
It's a young age, isn't it?
So I'm living in Leicester because the girl I was with, we moved down to Leicester because she wanted to do university in Leicester.
Yeah.
So her parents had bought a flat down there and we moved into this flat. Didn't have to pay any rent or anything. It was great. I've had to come back up for this court case. Ended up Crown Court, pled guilty, 6 months. So they're taking us down into the group 4th. And bearing in mind, I've been out the night before and the night before and the night before and the night before. So I'm going to come down in a group 4 van bus going to fucking Durham jail, not knowing what the fuck's going on. Because I was told I wouldn't get jail.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a criminal record. So gets told, as soon as I get to jail, I get told it's a white collar crime. You'll be if you keep your nose clean. If you keep your nose clean, you'll
pardon the pun.
Mm-hmm. If you keep your nose clean, you'll get out of here in 6 weeks. You'll do 6 weeks in jail, 6 weeks on a tag, and that's your 3 months off your sentence. Right? Okay, that sounds like a plan. 6 weeks in my head was because it is a lot better than 6 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've ended up doing 6 weeks in jail for nigh on £30,000, and to this day, that insurance company's never asked for it back. So I quite often say, somebody said it was, will you do 6 weeks in jail now for 30 grand? I'd be like, put us in for 3 months and give us 60.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So I've wrote songs and that in jail because I didn't have anything else to do. So I'm just writing. I used to write music, but I didn't used to write songs in song format. So I'm sitting writing songs in jail. Gets out of jail. Gets down to Leicester on a tag. First day I came out, you know how they give you like some money when you're discharged? They give us something when I got out of jail. I think it was like £42 or something. I can't remember the exact amount. Me being me, I've gone to the shop and bought fucking a bottle of Moët and a bottle of vodka, and I'm having a celebration, me.
Celebration.
You know what I mean? Got some packets dropped off. They're putting me tag on. The people actually came out to put me tag on, and we were in the middle of a session. And I've got a video of it somewhere on my old camcorder, and I'm going, wait, put the tag on and that. Just fucking... At this point, the only way to describe me as a person was arsehole. Absolute fucking arsehole. I wasn't very nice to people. I was extremely arrogant. I thought I was better than everybody else because I had more money than the people I was hanging around with. Mm-hmm. Looking back, I often wonder if perhaps subconsciously I surrounded myself with people that would look up to me because I had money to make to validate myself. Do you know what I mean?
That would resonate with me. Like, I get that. Yeah, that would make sense.
People that make me feel better about myself, but for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Or people that need me a lot more than I need them.
Yeah.
Not really friends. But I think that the not really friends thing would be mutual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm in Leicester. Tag comes off. Ended up DJing at a bar. Eventually gets a job at a strip club DJing 5 nights a week. I was there 2.5 years DJing from 8 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock in the morning on a weeknight, and on a Friday and a Saturday it was a 6 o'clock finish. So I was spending most of my awake hours, or most of the hours I should have been awake, in a strip club. Every single night I'd finish work, I'd already be pissed by the end of work. In fact, I'm the reason that club introduced the rule that DJs can't drink because of the states I would get in.
Yeah.
And I never, ever took coke at work because I didn't want to lose the job. But the second it was finished, I was on it.
Yeah.
On it with people I work with. Party back at mine. Party back at mine that doesn't start till 4:30 in the morning. Do you know what I mean? If I was lucky, I'd get a couple hours sleep in the afternoon. And I'd go back and I'd do it again. And I was just ballooning in weight. One thing I missed out in 2000. So I was about 10.5, 11 stone till I was 20. When I was 20-year-old, I went to Malia to DJ for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Free drink for 6 months, DJing out there, and I ballooned in weight. Literally ballooned it. When I came back, I was 16.5 stone. It was unrecognizable. So, like, I can remember talking to people in the street, and some of them didn't recognize us at first. I was only gone 6 months. And that time in Malia, that was when drinking every day started. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, fast forward back to Leicester, DJing at this strip club. I was making a great wage to play music, a great wage, and every single penny of it was going on gear.
Something that you did for free in the after dark.
Aye, every single penny of it was going on gear. And then I decided then to start selling it because I'm a fucking businessman, aren't I?
Yeah. Natural transition.
Can you see where this is going?
I've got fucking no idea where this is going, because it started from a kid that learned fuck all at school to the fucking air conditioning specialist to the fucking top JG in Malia. It's fucking going somewhere.
So I've just ended up getting ounces of coke, selling what I needed to pay for the ounce, and then sniffing the rest. But that freed up my wages, so I started saving money. And I don't know how, but between 2002 and 2006, I somehow managed to save enough money to buy the flat I was living in. So I bought, it was only 75,000, But then that's the only time in my entire life I've been able to save money. I managed to do that, and I bought the flat cash off her parents, and then it was our flat. So then I'm in some really bad company at this point in Leicester. Like, the people I was associating with outside of work were into fucking drugs in a big way. There was guns about. Looking back now, I'm like, the only reason I wasn't absolutely terrified all the time in those situations is because I was off me nut. I moved from Leicester eventually to Nottingham. Well, it's not even Nottingham, it's Nottinghamshire. Place next to Mansfield called Sutton and Ashfield. And got there, was fine for. We've sold the flat, used that as a deposit on this new house. Bought a 4-bed detached house. It was beautiful. Still with this lass. And I was fine there for 3 months. Didn't know anybody. She'd got a job there and she was getting the train every day from Leicester to there. So I was like, oh, we might as well move there. First 3 or 4 months I was there, no drugs. I was drinking every night, drinking cans and that every night, no drugs. Everything was better. My mood was better. The relationship was better. Everything. But then one night, some of my friends came over from Leicester, went out, and I met some people on that night out that then became me mates in that area, and they were all bang into it. And so, in the midst of all this shit that's been going on, in Leicester, the songs I wrote in prison, when I've got out and got my tag off, I've came up to Newcastle for a few days, and I went to school with a guy called Dominic Peters, and he was a music producer who could use the studio that he bought. So me and him turned these ideas that I had into actual songs. And in Leicester, there was a record shop called Too Funky, and they had flyers and posters up advertising for artists for this new record label called Sin Nombra Records, which were based in Nottingham actually. And I sent off one demo CD of these songs I'd done with Dom to this label, and I got a record deal.
Brilliant.
Well, I thought great, but tiny little, like, it panned out. They got me in magazines and stuff like that. I was in Hip Hop Connection magazine, which was like the big magazine in the country and that. And it's got me name about in the UK hip hop scene as a rapper quite well, but there was no financial side to it at all because the label invested in not just me, but loads of similar artists, and very quickly went into liquidation, and no one got paid. I'd never even got paperwork. I don't know if the album that I put out recouped the money they spent on it, if it made profit. I don't even know if I was owed money. Do you know what I mean? Because I never got to see anything of that.
Yeah.
But then I'm perceived in the UK hip hop scene as somebody with a bit of clout. Because I'm in magazines, do you know what I mean, and stuff like that, and people are like, "Oh, wow, he's got a record deal," and it sounds a hell of a lot better than the actual reality one.
Still a bit of a profile on him,
yeah. So all this time, I'm still doing music, off me nut. Which, to be honest with you, I've never all the best music I've ever wrote, I've been off me tits when I've done it, but I've ended up back up in Newcastle in 2005, because my mum passed away from cancer. And she was on her last legs. I was getting up here as fast as I could. My mate was driving us up to get to the hospital, but I didn't make it in time, unfortunately, to say like goodbye to her properly. But then I was in Newcastle until after the funeral. Mm-hmm. And the next day, I went to town. My friend, one of the oldest friends I've got, Darren, just for a wander around, try and take my mind off it, just get out of the house, do something. Somebody give me a flyer. And this flyer was one of my favourite rappers was performing in Newcastle that night, a guy called Skinny Man. So he was like the big UK rapper at the time. So I've gone to this gig with my mate, and I've managed to convince Skinny Man to meet us the next day in Newcastle and do a song. And that song I did, The Boy Who Cried Wolf for Him, changed my life. So they say everything happens for a reason. If my mother hadn't have passed away on that specific day, that wouldn't have happened, and I don't know where I would be now. Yeah. So I've shot a music. I've then went down to Brixton, shot a music video for this song, and the music video has been playlisted on Channel U, which was a Sky TV music channel. And then a record label called RJS Entertainment, which had a subsidiary called Hip Hop Village that I've been trying to get in touch with for years at this point. I've been trying to like just get my foot in the door with them. Contacted me because they'd seen the song. And that's when the financial side of my rap career took off.
Yeah.
But it's when the dark times really started. Because by the time it got to 2008, January 2008, and I got my first royalty check off them, was 16 grand.
Yeah.
And then February was 12 grand, and so on. And they were always between every month between 16 and 10,000 pound. And every single penny of that money went up not even my nose and the noses of the hangers on around us. Mm-hmm. And it got really, really, really dark. I look back at that time period of life, and it's when I was probably the most financially successful I'd ever been. And I can't think of one happy memory during that time.
Yeah, I've had similar experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To give you an example, being partying with my mate in his house for 3 or 4 days. On the 4th day or so, whatever, we met some friends, some of them females, and we've gone to a club in town. We went to the one on the Quayside Sea, it was called. Went to see, and then we've gone back to his house, and an argument's kicked off that turned into a physical fight that ended in me chinning one of my female mates very badly. And I mean, when I say one of my mates, I mean like I'd been best mates with her and her sister for like 5 or 6 years, but we're really close. And just in total blackout.
Was this of the drink or the drugs?
Well, this was technically day 5 of a vodka and cocaine binge.
Yeah, sleep deprivation kicking in and fucking all kinds. Yeah.
And about 2 weeks after that, I got arrested for it. And I just told the police the truth. I was like, I genuinely can't. I know I've done this, but genuinely can't remember anything about it. And somehow, people ask me this all the time, especially online these days. Somehow, I got a police caution for that. And I'd been to prison at this point. So I thought once you've been to prison, you know, you don't get cautions again. Like I should have went to jail for that. But
sometimes they say honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
And you know, you've been open and honest and you couldn't remember. Not that that's got a day with it, like, but some weeks look after you, like, innit?
So then, fast forward 6 months after that, BBC's Panorama got in touch. They're doing I'm like, oh, mint. Panorama want to speak. It was mint. I'm going to be on the telly.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm going to be on the telly for me rapping mint.
You're going to be on the telly.
No, aye, not for that. And I was just like, oh my fucking God. They're doing a whole episode it was called Assault on Justice. Mm-hmm. And it was about 3 specific cases of violence that have been dealt with by cautions that arguably the person should have went to prison for. You know, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. So 6 months after that again, it airs on TV. Lauren's heavily featured in the episode. I'm just like, for fuck's sake. So that's 2008. 2009, the TV show came out. I'm still doing music. At the time, I don't know if that had any effect on my life that I just wasn't aware of because I was off my tits all the time. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how many people have given me a wide berth because of that incident in life. That like I haven't realised that that's what's going on just because I'm off my tits. So the carnage continued. Nearly finished this story now, I promise. The carnage continued till about 2011. That time period from 2008 to 2011, in my memory, feels like it was about 3 days. Because it was all the same. It was just me using drugs in the house with me one pal that used to come round, and that was it.
Yeah.
2011, decided to knock the coke on the head. Knock the drink on the head. So a friend of mine says, come to an AA meeting with us. So I've gone, right, okay. So at the time I'm living in Nottingham, but I'm doing music in Newcastle. So I'm up here on a weekly basis. Went to a few meetings with him. I just didn't get it. I didn't get how going and sitting down in that room and talking to people could help me. But at this point as well, I was about 6 months sober that I'd done off my own back. So I just thought, I've got this nailed here. I don't need these meetings. I don't even understand why people go to them. Give it another, I got to 11 months, and then the girl I was with for 17 years left us. And we still had the house in Nottingham, but because I was working up here all the time, we'd rented a house in St. Peter's Basin, and we both moved up here. And when I'd gone out, so she told us that she was leaving, and then when I'd gone out one day with my pals, when I came back, she'd been in and taken all of her stuff. The only thing that she left was a bottle of vodka in the fridge.
Do you think this was due to the carnage that was caused over the years?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because sometimes we hear about, what we lose through all this madness, so relationships, all kinds, yeah.
I was 11 months sober at that point, but I hadn't worked on any character defects. I still wanted to drink and take drugs. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I heard somebody describe what a dry drunk is once, which is like somebody that's very bitter about the fact that they can't drink. Yeah. And that was me in that time period. Yeah. So it's not like on this occasion now where I've made, I put things in place to make my life better and I've improved as a person and I think about things and I'm trying to change. I was probably just as bad, if not worse, because I didn't have drink or drugs. You know what I mean? I remember that to be quite a miserable time period, actually. And she left. All that was left of her stuff was there was a bottle of vodka in the fridge. And I lasted about 4 days and drank the bottle of vodka. And then somebody had said it was, I wanted to lose weight. I'd wanted to lose weight. Now, I thought one of the main reasons I stopped drinking was initially back in those days was to lose weight because I was nigh on 18 stone at this point. I just looked ridiculous. And I didn't really lose any weight. I maybe lost 3/4 of a stone. Somebody had said it was, just take speed, you'll lose weight on speed. I was like, now my memory of speed is speed from the rave days, that there's no come down, there's no, now you just take it, it's a miracle drug, it's great.
The best night I've ever had in my life.
And he's like, just take a bomb of this in the morning, don't take another one. By the time you get to night time, you'll be able to get to sleep. That didn't happen. Next thing I know, I've been awake for the best part of 12 years. Well, I thought at one point, it was about 10 years. Mm-hmm. When I look back at old photos, because you can see when I started it, because I'm 9.5 stone at one point.
Yeah.
I'd been awake all this time, and I just became extremely self-absorbed. I worked 24 hours a day. I wasn't taking it to party. I was taking it to work.
Yeah.
But I would be like I would be nasty to everybody around us. I had an office on the quayside at this point. I had members of staff and I was just fucking horrible. But making fucking loads of money. What a CD and DVD distribution company, the worldwide distribution, were selling stuff to like HMV in Japan and stuff like that. Like there wasn't a shop that sold CDs or DVDs that we couldn't get a product in. Mm-hmm. And it was so. But I didn't drink that much during that time period until the work stopped and it just became me sitting in my flat thinking I was working, but really it's taken us 3 hours to fucking order a pair of trainers off the internet that should take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm just, and everything, my brain wasn't working properly, and I know now it was the speed, but I thought it was working properly. But I would get that many random ideas flashing into my head. Mm-hmm. I would start 50 things and not finish one. So there's a few women as well that I've been in relationships with during this time period. And I've ended up, a lot of my friends at the time, people I was doing music with lived in Byker. And I was in Byker all the time. So I was like, right, I'll get a flat in Byker. So I got a flat in Byker above the shops on Shields Road. The flat inside was lovely. It was really nice, but it was on Shields Road. Because I'm so fucking hard to be around, most of the people that were coming around every day to work with us, they weren't on fucking speed. So one by one, they just stopped coming around. And we're like, oh, I just think, oh, I've not seen him for months, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I wonder what he's doing now. Looking back now, I know what he was doing. He was fucking off because I was being a dick. But at the time, we don't see that. Or I'd build up resentments against these people. Like, well, I've not seen it. He doesn't fucking ring us anymore. What a fucking dick. I've done loads to help him. But looking back, I'm sitting shouting at them. Like, the person you know, Eric, of me, is not the person that I am on drugs. It's really not. So it's ended up just being me and my mate Pryor, whose picture's there. And we've ended up drinking on Shields Road most days, every day. Sometimes from the exact minute that we knew Wetherspoons would start serving alcohol. If you know anything about Shields Road in Byker, it's not a very nice place. There's a lot of crack. There's a lot of heroin on Shields Road in Byker. So it's not long before we're having a few people from the pub back at mine for a few extra drinks and somebody pulls out a crack pipe and says, do you mind if I do one of these? No, I'd seen crack before. No, knock yourself out. And it only takes 2 or 3 more of those times, you know what I mean, over the nights where you think, oh, they just have a pipe, they're fine.
Yeah.
Do you want one of these? No, I'm all right. Do you want one of these? No, I'm all right. Do you want? Go on, then I'll have a little one. Before I knew where I was a fucking crackhead. Mm-hmm. Spending £700 a day on crack. Never enjoyed a second of taking that drug either. And I've said that, I was saying this to Simon on that podcast. I cannot understand why I kept doing it. It made me feel like shit. It made me the most paranoid anything's ever made me in my life. I would overheat. I'd have me top off. I'd be holding my chest, think my heart's going to pop, checking to see if I'm having a heart attack. I don't know how that checks to make sure your heart's all right. Pacing backwards and forwards. Telling everybody to be fucking quiet because I can hear a fucking milkman in 3 streets away. Yeah. It just wasn't nice at all. So one day I've got my dad and just said, look, come to mine in Byker, and just packed all my stuff up and moved back to his. And I was like, I'm on crack, Dad. Now, my dad's 70-odd-year-old, and I don't think he realised what that was, but I came back and I lived with him for a bit, and everything was fine. I've never, since the day I moved back to his in 2019, I've never, ever, ever touched crack again. And that's with no help. That's with no help, but at the same time, I didn't like it. Yeah. It's the drugs I do like that I needed help with. Yeah. Still on speed. Then just before lockdown, I'm finding myself having to go to the doctors. I lost all the feeling in my left hand. I couldn't feel my left hand, the tips of my fingers, or that bit there, or my thumb, for about 6 weeks. So I've gone to the doctors, and then I've gone to the doctors again because I've realised, because I'm doing music, I can't hear anything in my right ear. And they were like, that circulation with your left hand.
Circulation, yeah.
That's speed.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it?
In my right ear, they've done some tests. They've said, right, you can't, it's the lower frequencies that you can't hear. I've thought I've damaged my hearing with loud music. They said, when you damage it with loud music, it's the top end of the frequencies that go.
Yeah.
That's something else. It must be, what was the word they used? They said, do you take any medication or anything? Because it could be down to toxology of your body. And I thought, it's speed.
Yeah. That's all I can be. That's all we're taking.
I mean, as it happens, since I've stopped taking speed, that's fine. My hearing's not what it was in that ear, but it's a lot better than it was. I couldn't hear somebody tapping their fingers next to me at one point. 2000, got a new flat, new life and all this, moved down to Tynemouth. Wasn't a few months later, I got my best mate, Prior, got a flat just round the corner from us. At one point, during all of this madness, actually it was lockdown. During lockdown, we couldn't get any speed. So I've started taking coke and he started drinking a lot more. Now, eventually, when some speed did become available, I've ended up buying a fucking lump of speed literally nearly the size of my head.
Yeah.
Right? To put in the freezer for me. He's had a bit, because we're both on it for 12 years or something. He's had a bit, I've had a bit. I'm back on the speed. He's like, I'm not going to bother with speed, I'm just going to have a few drinks. Now, he's ended up that bad on drink by December of 2021, when he passed away. He was 7.5 stone. He wasn't, and he was my size, you know what I mean, 14 stone-ish. He wasn't eating, wasn't drinking any water. All he was doing was drinking vodka straight out the bottle.
Wow.
And I'm too wired on speed to realise just how close to the end he is. And one day, we hadn't heard from him for a few days. His nana came down on the metro to meet with, and we went, knocked on the door again, decided to ring the police, and the police forced our way in, and he'd passed away. And even then, I didn't stop. I was off me nut at his funeral. Even then. I mean, as it happened, he, when the toxology reports came back, with his, his blood samples and everything, didn't actually have any alcohol in his system at the time he died. He'd, because he just came out of hospital. Because, well, what I didn't mention as well is, during the time of his drinking, he's done serious damage to his heart.
Yeah.
And he's done serious damage to his liver.
Yeah.
And serious damage to his kidneys.
Yeah.
And he'd gone into hospital, something to do, well, I mean, he was yellow. He looked like a Simpson. Mm-hmm. He's gone into hospital for 2 weeks, and they've weaned him off drink. And then he's gone...
Detox, yeah.
Yeah, and then when he's gone back, he hasn't gone back to it because he's too weak to get out of bed by the looks of things.
Yeah.
But it was a drink that killed him.
Yeah.
It just... Because it had destroyed his body, basically. But it was the drink that led to his death, but it wasn't the actual, he didn't drink himself to death or anything. So... So my speed continued for about a year and a bit after that. And I think it's coming up to 700 days now since I knocked the speed on the head. Mm-hmm. I decided this is making me ill. It's not fun anymore. I'm not getting any work done. This is a waste of fucking life. So I've stopped the speed. But what I've really done is, practically the same day I put the speed down, picked up alcohol. Yeah. Now I don't like being drunk, so I picked up cocaine. Yeah. And that's when the darkest, sort of time in my life started, because I don't want people to know I'm on cocaine, so I'm hiding it from everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know how well, I don't know. I suppose we'll find out when this podcast comes out. We don't know how well. And I'm drinking. Haven't got during this time period the money that I'm used to having, but I'm still doing fairly well. But I'm in a position where I know a dealer who will give us anything I want on tick because he knows on a certain date, when I say you'll have the money, you'll have all the money.
Yep.
And then the pub I used to go to every day gives a bar tab, which would be between £1,100 and £1,400 a month, just for me, because I'm not going out with any friends or anything. It's just me, so I can go to his and get a packet and go to the pub and drink for free, and that became my life.
Sad.
That became my life. And cocaine doesn't make me a very nice person. It doesn't make anybody nice, does it?
No.
I've never seen anybody on cocaine be dead nice to people.
No.
And so before I know where I am, I'm sitting in this room, and I've come back from the pub, but I've got another packet on the way, that I picked up on the way back. So then I get on to dial a drink or Uber Eats, more drink dropped off. Just sitting in this room, curtain twitching, watching stuff on the internet, getting paranoid, and just drinking myself into a blade. Having coke, which makes us paranoid, and then I'm trying to drink my way out of it, and then I start to feel drunk, and then I end up hammering the line, and it was just a vicious cycle of shit. It was the worst time in my life. And that went on for about 1.5 years, to the point where I wasn't even bothered going into the pub. I was just getting drink dropped off. And I was just like, I'm going to end up dead if I keep doing this. So in December, I woke up one day and I just thought, enough is enough. That's it. Now, in my head, I know I've done 11 months before, so I think I've got this nailed. Looking back now, I didn't have it nailed because I did it for 11 months. I wasn't happy doing it. And as soon as something bad happened in my life, I went straight back to it and got worse than I was to start with. But in my head, I thought I had this nailed. And after 2 days of basically just lying in bed, sobering up, I got a phone call off Paul Venice.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm going to ask you about that.
Me and Paul hadn't really spoken to each other directly before this point. He's watched my YouTube channel, and I'm a fan of his. And some of my good friends had got in contact with him and said, "Craig's trying to get sober. Could you ring him up and have a word with him because he's sober?" And all he kept repeating was, "You need to get yourself to a meeting, get yourself to a meeting, get yourself to a meeting." Now, I think if anybody else had told me to go to a meeting, it wouldn't have even registered. Because he said it during this 10-minute conversation 5 or 6 times, I thought, I'll give these meetings a try. And I mentioned to Chrissy that I wanted to go to these meetings. So Chrissy's like, "Well, there's one on now. Yeah, there's one on now. Tomorrow there." I was like, "Whoa, slow down." So I will go on. I was like, "I need to go to NA." And she's like, "Well, it's A you need." She doesn't know I'm taking coke. So one night there's a AA meeting on, and Chrissy's determined to try and help us at this point. So there's an AA meeting on in Whitley Bay. Chrissy's like, "Come on, we'll go." I was like, I changed my mind at the last minute. I was like, "Nah, I'm not going." So Chrissy, being as stubborn as she is, she's like, "Well, I'm going to go." So Chrissy went to a AA meeting by herself. And then came back and she's like, "They're lovely, the people there and this and that and blah, blah, blah." Because it was an open meeting. Apparently the first one of the months there is an open meeting where you can bring people with you that aren't addicts. I don't think anybody will go that wasn't with an addict, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just turn up by yourself for the crack, as Chrissy did. But and I just thought she's fucking mental here. And then I seen her. She was like, "There's a meeting on." It was a Wednesday night, and it was in. Well, I won't say where it is. And
Well, I'm not actually supposed to mention the fellowship either, but
I cut it out.
Yeah, that's all right.
So she said, "There's a fellowship meeting on
Yeah.
Wednesday night. The kind of meeting that you want to go to,
Yeah.
not the other one." come on, we'll go to that. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So we've got in the car, we've got outside. I've changed my mind. She turned the car around, drove Nelly back halfway home, and I've gone, you know what, fuck it, I'll go. So she stopped the car, turned the car around, came, and I've gone to the meeting, and I realised when I walked into when I sat down in the meeting, and I've got my phone out my pocket to put it on silent, and I've realised the date was Prior's birthday. And that's just that emotions hit me like a ton of bricks, and I've like started to tear up in that, and I just, everything I heard, that these people going around the room, I mean, the nigh on everybody in that room that night that I didn't know is one of my good friends now, but every single person that spoke about, they say look for the similarities, not the differences. I swear that night there was no differences. Every single person in that room was like they were talking from my point of view.
I get that.
And I left, and all I remember thinking when I left is not this is going to work, or, you know, this is what I need, or anything like that. All I can remember thinking is, I'm going to go back to that. So I went to another one on the Sunday, a different meeting somewhere else, and I got a very similar experience. And then I tried going to, like, various different meetings, different nights of the week. And then I decided the two that I liked, and I went back to those two meetings on a Wednesday and a Sunday. And this last 7.5, nearly 8 months has been the happiest time of my entire adult life.
Yeah.
It's been the happiest I've been since when I used to go and do work Monday to Friday and have a great weekend. Mm-hmm. The friends I've made, like yourself, the connection with people, just the happiness that it's brought into my life it's unexplainable.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful. In various different things which I won't go into, but various different things that I heard when I started going, that I thought, that sounds like bollocks. Now I get 100%. Mm-hmm. Because for the first time in my life, I'm working on myself as a person.
Yeah.
And it feels practically effortless. But it's like, even just little things like somebody you had an argument with a few months ago, and they turned on us massively. And I thought, the thing you argued with them about, you're not even that bothered about. Why didn't you just let it slide? And now you wouldn't have an enemy. So then the next time somebody did something similar that upset us, I just let it go.
Yep.
And me and that person ended up, you know, working things out with my now friends, as opposed to, who the fuck, you know what I mean?
World War III.
Mm-hmm. Like, and then it made me think, how many people in my life have I turned into my enemies for a reason I don't even care about? Just because I think I'm the big I am and the world centers around me. Turns out it doesn't.
Everything that you've said, and I've sat back and I've listened to everything, and I came around at the same time. I've got the same amount of sobriety as you. Your life's been a bit different than what mine has.
Mm-hmm.
I say you were a lot cleverer than me, to be perfectly honest.
I doubt it. You've made a lot more money than I have.
No, never made either, or happy did it. That's the truth.
No, it didn't.
But my point being, you know, we're in the same fellowships. We work the same program to a degree, to the best of our ability that we can. Mm-hmm. And what I can say is everything that you've said, you talk about similarities, not the differences. Everything that you've said, I've wanted to, because I like to talk as well, mm-hmm. I've wanted to come back and say, fuck me. That's exactly how it was for me. Everything.
Give us a share back. Give us a share back. That'd be great.
Like the speed.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't sleep for, you know, I discussed it the other week. I didn't sleep for 13 fucking, yeah.
No.
The truth is not. And
I was either like,
I got told by
unconscious.
I got told by specialists, you know, if you didn't sleep, you die. And you were working 24/7, literally working for 24/7. You thought you were working 24/7.
I used to think sleep was overrated. Now I love a nap now.
Oh, God.
Just think about that.
The worst feeling in the world, yeah.
I didn't have a nap for 14 years.
Yeah. You know, I thought there was once upon a time, I'll tell you this earlier, you know, when I was flat out on base amphetamine myself, ounce a week, 24/7. It just, you know, flat out. I did a bit of DIY, and I thought I'd done a great job. I'm waiting for the pat in the back of our last one. She come in from, shouldn't mention that name, but when she came back from the nursery, and I literally took all the floorboards up to the spare bedroom and put them on the fucking ceiling, and I thought it was a fucking great job.
What?
I ripped all the floorboards up,
right,
floorboard by floorboard, and nailed it in the fucking ceiling. And
why?
I've got fucking no idea. I was redecorating the house. Fuck knows. The missus clearly wasn't very happy, like, you know. And that was the madness that the speed took you. That was sleep deprivation. You know, you said you started not knowing. You literally didn't know what day of the week it was. 24/7. It's like, you know, day goes into night, and it yeah. It's neither one. I think you start getting confused, you know. But I honestly resonated with just about every feeling that you came across. And the biggest thing that I recognised is that it was the drugs and the alcohol that were the solution to the feelings that you wanted to block out or push down and hide. You know, you didn't seem to be happy with the feelings that you had, and, you know, from the day that you took that speed that made you gone 1,000,000 miles an hour, like some of our fucking train spotting.
I mean, to be fair though, when I started taking speed the second time, when I had the problem with it, you know, I took it to lose weight, and I did lose weight, but I also lost all my friends. Self-respect, sanity.
Not a fair trade.
No, it's not. No.
Could you not just went to Slimming World?
Would have been cheaper.
Aye, but so I've watched you, Craig, grow in the almost 9 month I've been around now. 9 months I've coming up sober this week, and I've watched you grow as a person. You said that you're not that person that you was in the madness, and I can say that myself. Even since you come around, I just see a lovely bloke. I see a real clever bloke. Love your podcasting. We haven't spoke about the madness of the podcasting. Maybe it's for a different podcast altogether. You know?
Yeah, it's a totally different thing.
Because there's, you know, I don't know whether you're looking for chaos in your life there. I don't know you've enjoyed living in the chaos. You know.
Oh, you know,
because I did.
There are times still now that I miss the chaos a bit. Mm-hmm. But I know the consequences of the chaos aren't worth that little bit of a buzz you get from it.
I heard in the rooms one night that you wanted to do something serious, and there's a couple of things going on, a couple of projects that you've got on, one of which is this. Mm-hmm. And you told us last week about the messages that you've had of still suffering addicts out there that have come around because of the work that you're doing, and because of the person that you've become. You've decided to start changing your life around and doing things more appropriate to the way you are now, and I just think it's fucking brilliant. Like, it really is good, you know.
I mean, it's something else I want to say as well is a lot of people have said to us, "Oh, we didn't realise you were off yet, not every day online." But what I was doing is I would wake up at 11:30, I would do my show from 12 till 1 sober, and then go to the pub. So they only really seen us at the most hungover, or when I come down, which you can hide for an hour on camera. Mm-hmm. But then when I did some of the nighttime shows, some of them I was just sitting, and I'd hear a tap and be like, "What was that?" And then go back and think, "Fucking hell, you look paranoid to death on there." How people didn't notice, I don't know. And when you look at a podcast I did 2 years ago to how I just physically look now, I look 10 years younger now than I did 4 years ago, 2 years ago.
People say that, and I've just seen some photographs here before, Craig, that you've took. I don't know that you deliberately took them in the madness there, but you look. You're not.
That was a screenshot. That was a screenshot from a video.
You just look. You're a completely different bloke. Like, looking and everything, and you know, we're different now how much time we've got left. Doesn't matter. You know, there's one thing for certain in life, and that's. You know, we're all going to check out at some stage, you know what I mean? There's none of us get out of this alive, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when it comes, we're not going to take it personally, but we've got to just make the best of what we've got, you know? But one thing's for sure, if you had kept on going the way you were going, looking the way you were looking on them photographs there, it wouldn't going to be much longer, like, you know what I mean?
You know, I mean, when I'd been sober for 2 or 3 months, I went to doctors and I said I want checked, like in terms of I want all my organs checked because I must have done some damage, and they were like, well, we'll take blood samples and we'll check your bloods, and if we do all the tests and whatnot, then we can tell you, because that's how we measure it. And when everything came back fine, I couldn't believe it. I was like, because I mean, during my speed as well was something I didn't mention. During my days on speed, which is like 14 year, I was drinking all day, every day. Yeah. I wouldn't drink enough to get hammered, but I would be steadily drinking from if I'd been to sleep from the second I got up to the second I went to bed 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah. You're not flushing your body with water.
No.
You're flushing your body with alcohol.
Which is fucking daft cunt. Yes, thinking, oh, well, I still drink 6 pints of water a day. That'll flush it. It doesn't work like that, does it?
It doesn't work like that at all, you know. No, it doesn't work like that at all, you know. No.
But then,
you know, I watched you yesterday, Craig. You know, we were talking about, we had a crack yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're not going into whose party it was, but you know, you talked about the DJ and the madness and all, you know, all these villains around you and this and buzzing off being the man behind them,
or at least thinking I was.
Oh, you were, because I've been in them rooms as well. And I used to idolise them DJs and the MCs. We did the lasers coming over the top, the smoke screen. It was fucking brilliant, like it was in the day. And we looked up to them people, the DJs, the MCs. Yeah, it was fucking brilliant. I watched you at a kids' party yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't a kids' party, it was an engagement party. But it was basically DJed for children.
It was an engagement party with a lot of kids there. It was a family event for people in sobriety. Mm-hmm. That was the couple.
It was lush.
And to be honest, it was, from where I seen it, was a bit of service, and we discussed this, you know, at the time. You know, and then I went home and I got my head on the pillow, sober and clean. And then I didn't wake up this morning thinking, what the fuck did I do at that party? And now that I wasn't dancing to the fair, and I actually put a tune on for us, and I wasn't doing the fucking worm this time.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was brilliant. And you said the same yourself. We would have been making twats of ourselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And every single time. And I say that's the same for me, the same for you, and probably the same for the same couple, the couple that was there as well. Mm-hmm. You know, they would have been exactly the same. That's what it does to you, and it's not fucking good for you, like. But it's been a pleasure sitting and listening to you. Like I said at the start, now you can talk the talk, but you also walk the walk now. That is a fact. I've known you for the last name without. I didn't realise I'd known you from years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
Because you've done a lot of the
boxing stuff.
There's other things that you've done, the boxing stuff. You're a big fan on the boxing.
Massive
You're
boxing.
You're a big fan on the Northeast boxing, the unlicensed boxing, the bare knuckle boxing, all the new scenes that's coming in. You're well connected to them all. Which is ironic as well, because there's and you mentioned this Venice kid as well, you know, I mentioned last week on my podcast. I would have fought any man. And that's the truth. I would have fought any man that offered me out. I'm just glad that Paul Venice didn't fucking offer us out. Because he was around at the time as well. Paul Venice, Wes Brown, you know, all them kids. Nathan Ward, I boxed him. Probably one of the biggest knockdowns. Well, that was one thing I always did. Like Muhammad Ali said, they're not getting knocked down that counts, as how the man gets back up and carries on, you know. And I always did. And I always put up a good show of myself, you know. There's nobody could argue that point. Like, but just pleased I didn't get
I spent a long time actually. A few days ago, it was just after we recorded the podcast, but not before it came out. I sat for probably 2-3 hours and watched a lot of your old fights on YouTube, and they're all there. And they're not all there.
But you may be able to help us out on that one, because you know I thought I found it, and I boxed blokes that probably just laid down.
Have you got a YouTube channel?
I haven't got a YouTube channel.
Because there's a YouTube channel with some of your fights on called Eric the Monk.
I didn't realise that. No.
Well, so it's not your channel.
There's Eric the Monk. There's Eric versus Billy the Kid Brown. There's all kinds. Again, I did mention that one last week as well. I boxed that, what was he called? He was called Callum the Hitman Holmes twice in Blackpool. I boxed them all. I boxed anybody that they offered out on us, and I never read the script. I always went away, and I always at least put a good show up of myself, you know. But it was brilliant. But I've got I've got not hundreds. I've probably got 50 fights on DVD.
Yes, I can put them on YouTube for you.
That's fucking brilliant, like.
I'd love to.
I've knocked quite a few.
You know what we could do?
I've watched them that many times at parties where I'm thinking, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's just totally fucked.
You know what we could
But I've
do if
got
you
loads
wanted?
of them.
You know what, if we could... something I will talk to you about this off camera.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to say to you, based on a conversation we had, is I was going to say, do you fancy making a documentary about your boxing career?
I did one once with, you'll know the kid, Dark Kid, what's he called? I met him, funny enough, at Persian Bait there the other week there. And he used to do the videos and everything. I got an interview of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he come and he come and he recorded his training at the gym, did loads of me fights and all kinds. He did a bit of a documentary. I give him programs and everything, you know, where I'm boxing here at the Mode on a professional promoter's show. It was through Spencer Brown.
Yeah.
And I always remember the program and you know the Mick program's coming up and he had just knocked out Big Paul Fisk. Geordie Giant, a couple of months before, and I went up and I got told off Ian Toby I can just kick and bang. Like,
So can I see that documentary anywhere? Is it done? Is it online anywhere?
I've never ever fucking seen it.
Right,
I'll come around.
Well, we'll do
I'll
one.
Find it. Yeah. And I remember the program at the time coming up from the northeast. Eric the Mad Monk, one of the most feared heavyweights, and I'm fucking look at this. Total bullshit, like, but yeah, it was a fucking good. We'll have a little go. It's funny because we spoke about that when we came around in December. January was probably one of the first meetings that we met. And we discussed that straight away. You know, getting on a podcast, getting on the YouTube scene and this, that, the other, you had badges, isn't it? And I always had it in my mind, you know, but they say we didn't become an addict overnight, so easy does it, you know, and it took us 9 months to even get my legs and that, like, but I enjoyed last week. Not because I'm sitting on a YouTube channel and telling me story, thinking I'm Billy Big Bollocks. That is not the case at all. It was the messages that came through to my Facebook account that my missus was.
I'm still getting them on a daily basis now about stuff.
And of businessmen that have got sons flat out and in the madness and asking me for advice on, and I'm just thinking, fucking asking me for advice. Just heartwarming. It really is, you know. But I've also had messages from parents that I've done work for, business people as well, directors of companies, that got caught up with the situation at the time. And when I went back and said, you know, if you ever need help, give us a shout, and it was too late. That son had already passed and died. Like your friend.
Yeah.
It doesn't end good. If we don't make it, if we didn't do what you did, whether it be called rock bottom, whether it be called, you know, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction. Our lives have become unmanageable. Whatever you want to call it, surrender, whatever you want to call it, turn the page. A new way of life. I'm fucking fed up with it. Throw in the towel and call it what you want. You've got to hit that fucking spot. And if you didn't, and you didn't hand your will over, it isn't going to end good. Like, you know, it doesn't end good. It ends up in the same place. Same place as it did for your friend.
Yeah.
And there's a message there as well. That message is there. I've got a friend that's out the door there at the moment, you know, and I love that bloke, can't out for him. It'll be a real shame if that is the message that he sends to me. That's what happens if you didn't make it and you didn't do everything suggested, like, and I'm go to great lengths to keep what you got. But yeah, it's been I've enjoyed the night. I've enjoyed just sitting back and listening to your story. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've learned a few things about you that I didn't know already.
Yeah.
I didn't hear a few things that I wanted to hear about the fur jacket and the big belt chain.
Oh, yeah. When I say I was an arsehole, I don't just mean I was a you know, a moody prick as well. I thought I was the fucking man. Yeah. I had a Playboy bunny tattoo and a fur jacket.
It's brilliant, man.
Right? Rings on every finger. Big fuck off custom-made pendants with me. I've got 4 different necklaces that I've had made with different names on.
Absolutely fantastic. Oh my God, I wish
I got somebody once to make us, I got somebody once to make us the Krispy Kreme logo on a chain pendant like that. Fucking, ironically, what a fucking donut.
Because it was only yesterday that you asked us, which was, that didn't give us enough time today to get run the charity shops. I was going to turn up the night and sit in this chair with a fur jacket on, with the medallion and a big fucking leopard skin, big rim hat.
You know what happened to the fur jacket? I put it down a bin chute, in a huff one night when I was drunk. That's what happened to it.
Unbelievable. Oh, man. Fucking unbelievable.
But thank you, mate.
No, it's been brilliant, and long may it continue. I consider you as a personal friend now. Definitely a recovery friend.
Definitely.
We're like-minded. That's one thing that we want for sure, and that is the will to stop drinking and stop using drugs. Like, you know what I mean, and everything else. You know, you put that broken man back together, and his whole world would come back together with it. Like, and you've proved it. You're living proof of that. And you know what? I'm not professing to have anything special going on in my life, but I'm living proof of that as well.
Yeah, you are.
Because I am absolutely fucking. But I mean, I'm way past my bedtime now. I've normally got my head on the pillow now because I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning down the woods, just getting the best out of every single day I possibly can, and absolutely thriving on it, you know, and for free, for fucking nothing. It's costing us nothing. And another thing, and I hope that you're doing this as well. You know, there was a lot of fear went on, fear of the unknown in our lives. Not fear in any man. We didn't, because we thought we were the men, you know. But I walk with no fear now at all with this program that I work. You know, you can throw any curveball towards me, any debt, any county court judgment. I don't any old business that liquidators coming at us for whatever the crack is. Throw anything at me, I will walk with no fear. I don't give a fuck. You know, I'll face it, and that's where we're at with that one. But no, thoroughly enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing it tomorrow night. Ed on 9 o'clock Sunday night.
Yeah. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers, Eric.
Yeah. So, all right. Your story was brilliant, like.